Welcome, everyone. My name is John, here with my brother Jake and my good friend Brad. Here to sift through the wreckage of last week and talk about what's left. Cheap equipment, no budget. We are the punk rock garage band podcast, adding our voices to resistance as loudly as we can. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe. It helps. Trying to break into that MAGA based algorithm out there, so every little piece helps. But the Dealization Nation is growing thanks to you. Thank you all for being here. Please tell your friends, fellow travelers. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Substack, and of course, YouTube. We share newsworthy stories, funny posts from us and other sources. It pays to follow us and it's free, so consider supporting our work by making a pledge on Substack. So, let's bring in the gang. Boys, it's been a real shitstorm of news this week. FEMA's acting head is dismissed ahead of hurricane season. Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin condemned Trump's trade tariff policies as international bullying in a meeting today. A non-deal with the UK makes big news seem small. Meanwhile, the European Union unveiled a plan to counter Trump's tariffs that includes $110 billion worth of tariffs of their own on American products. Trump taps a non-doctor for Surgeon General because Bobby likes her. More U.S. citizens are deported, this time to Mexico. Judge Jeanine Pirro of Fox News is now the acting Attorney General of D.C., and Trump floats taxing the rich to pay for tax cuts for billionaires. It's been a real shit show this week, but only one shit can shine. Let's play Turn the Punch Bowl. Intro. All right, Brad, which shit's your shining star this week?
I'm picking the budget, and I'm picking the budget for the economy. So my biggest gripe, no, I'm not going to say my biggest gripe, but my gripe with this is we just had a negative GDP for the first quarter of the year, which is crazy because we're supposed to be the number one economy in the world. We just had a negative GDP. So our boy Donnie T in Congress with this new proposed budget are making crazy cuts to research all across the board, everywhere. NASA, cancer research, all across the board. They're cutting funding to do this research. However, this research allows us to continue moving forward in the country and finding cures for new diseases or finding all the things that we can advance in. So you're cutting this funding, which will ultimately affect our GDP. If you do not allow our economy to keep building off the funding that we're doing all this research with, then the GDP is going to be hurt by this. People don't understand. You can say you want to cut funding and because it's saving us money, but you don't understand that it is costing our economy money by not allowing us to continue progressing forward. The answer is progress. There is no way us going backwards is going to allow our GDP to continue to grow. It's not going to allow our country to grow. Anybody who thinks that is truly insane. The idea of bringing manufacturing back to the United States is an absolute joke. There's currently, on estimate, 500,000 manufacturing jobs that aren't filled today. So to say we're going to bring manufacturing back is truly asinine. What we need to do is invest our money in research to continue to progress forward, to be the leader in the world for cancer, to be the leader in the world to stop these diseases that we could stop, and ultimately allow our country to continue to grow and allow us to be like the epicenter of medicine or the epicenter of research. But we're not doing that because we're making all these cuts in an effort to give more tax breaks to billionaires. Like, no matter what, the end result is increase national deficit, give tax breaks to billionaires.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that I drive it home that this cutting to researching that we're doing is not saving anyone money and will only hurt us in the long run. We need to be a pioneer going forward, and we are doing the complete opposite. So that's my turd. Congress is fucking stupid. Stop cutting the things that allow us to actually prosper as a country. Stop thinking manufacturing is going to change the fucking world because you want us all back in sweatshops. That's not the fucking answer. Educate our fucking population. Allow us to prosper, and we will win whatever war you think is going on with trade and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit. You allow us to continue to make progress as a country, and we will continue to be the power of the world. This backward shit is not helping anyone.
Yeah. Amen.
Period.
No notes. Yeah,
that's just my turn. Fuck those guys.
yeah, absolutely. It is becoming increasingly clear what we have already known. People, when Trump first came on the scene, it was, oh, we got a businessman. He's going to run this like a business. Governor Tim Walz said it the best today, but it's been said clearly the government is not a business. We are not here to turn a profit. We are here to invest in our country and our people and to get return on that investment, hopefully. But that return may not necessarily always be monetary. It may be, just fed kids. But it turns out that like most of these things, when they're put into practice, like just the, feeding children, for breakfast and lunch, they have better outputs in education, better jobs, more money to spend, more money through the economy. Those are the things. I mean, I agree with you entirely. Like we are trying to solve the problems of the 1980s in 2025, and that is just not good enough. And it's innovation.
Feeding and educating kids. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. This year, they've had the highest graduation rate of any year in the last 10 or 15. I can't remember the exact number, but booming graduation rate for the first time in I don't know exactly how long, but all because he was like, hey, let's feed these kids and give them a proper education and see what happens.
Yep. Boom. Amazing. It's incredible.
But
meanwhile, out in I think it was Oklahoma, or maybe it was Georgia, McCormick, the senator, was talking about how those kids needed to get a job to pay for their lunch. Not only could they
work a summer job.
Yeah, just work a summer job in the wintertime during school hours. That'll educate you. Fucking assholes. Yeah, it's about that innovation in medicine, and kind of more of what we were doing with the green economy under the former administration with Joe Biden too. Like the rest of the world is advancing in that technology in those spaces, and we are not. A push away from even the mineral-based mining technology and electric cars. Hydrogen technology is so close. The United States could take a giant leap forward of all these other car manufacturers by putting out an alternative that doesn't require the charging and the infrastructure. But this is a little like the fight for electricity early on between Tesla and Edison. Like, which one can you charge more for? But the United States, if you get yourself out ahead, like I think that the overall benefit of being the absolute innovator in these spaces would pay dividends that just filling up at the pump just could never match, and all of that money is frozen. And not to mention, oil and gas now is is lobbying in Congress, and they got their people to sell public lands off to people now. So like they're out there actively doing the most harm with their money. So if we took even just a fraction of that budget and put it of what we subsidize oil and gas with, because we still subsidize them, to trillions of dollars, just a little bit of that behind any of those technologies would do great. A little bit of that behind cancer research, but clearly this administration is very pro-child cancer. So, I mean, if there's one thing that they have established firmly, is they believe in the right of every child to die of cancer. That is
sad but true.
Something that they have proven over and over again.
Sad but true.
Sad but true. Also, if you could do it in Honduras, that would be great. Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you, Brad. It's a good turn. Jake, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next if you want.
No, that's cool.
All right, so mine is on RFK Jr. So in January, the executive orders, and one of them was to cancel federal funding to support gender-affirming care. And gender-affirming care is built and supported by so many associations. The some of the associations, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, the Medical Pediatrics Association, like all these associations are backing this gender affirming care, saying, yes, we need this. Yes, this is important. It is truly helpful for these kids. But these new studies with no authors, no research, nothing tied to it, claim, well, guess what? We can do these conversion therapy camps, or they call it exploratory therapy, to cure. They claim they can now cure. Now, this is just another word for conversion therapy, which has been around for years, big in, I think, the 70s or something like that. But these camps were probably one of the most evil things. There is no actual base study that it cures anyone. I went to Reddit to read these people's claims and like their stories. A lot of them have been deleted. And I don't know if that's like administration deleted or like the users themselves, but it does not look great because it's a lot of blank ones. Just scary. So this whole thing is just attacking the LGBTQ plus community, and it attacks like barring schools from helping these kids, defunding gender affirming care, ban on trans and the service members, which is like crazy because if people want to defend your country, let them. Who the fuck cares? No one else is signing up at this point. You know what I mean? Why are we limiting now? Trans women moved to male prisons. Probably one of the scariest things for those women to ever have to do. And only men and women are the only genders. And they think these conversion therapy camps that actual research says that it spikes anxiety, depression, drug use, suicide, and homelessness is not the way to help these kids. This is not how we're helping the youth. Because guess what? They are also our youth. And the schools aren't supporting them. Their at-home life is now at risk because they can be sent to conversion therapy camp again. It's 8 times more likely for these kids who went to these camps to commit suicide.
Damn.
And there is nearly over 700,000 people sent to these camps. They performed exorcisms. They ordered them to take Viagra to lay with heterosexual partners. They did so many more creepy things to these kids and traumatize them because they thought it was wrong.
They gave kids Viagra?
Yeah. This is one of their studies. And some of the testimonies I read I cannot share them. They're sad. They're horrific. If you want to look them up, it's very, very sad. There's a lot of rape and a lot of other things going on in those camps. So no, this is not the answer, America.
No.
Not go back 30,000 years and treat people like animals.
Jesus.
It's just a different thing, but the same thing. Like,
yeah.
Again, stopping progress in this country. So let's say for a second, this is just my 2 cents, obviously. Let's say for a second, like the Republicans claim or the MAGA claim or whatever, that being transsexual or identifying as a different gender than you were assigned at birth is a mental illness. That's what they say. It's a mental disease. It's a disease. This is what they say, right? However, if that's the case, if someone's schizophrenic, they don't just tell them, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
There are, you know what I mean? If it's truly a mental disorder like they claim that it is, then why aren't they showing compassion like they would for any other mental disorder? It has nothing to do with it being a mental disorder or anything. It's just, we hate you because you are different than us, and we will not allow you to continue being different than us because we don't want our way of living to change. So please stop with the mental disorder nonsense because it's a fucking lie. These people are just trying to be their true individual selves, and you all just have a problem with it because you're pieces of shit.
Right.
Like, I wish people would just come out and say that. I'd be like, actually, I don't believe in trans people because I'm a piece of shit. And then I'd be like, you're right, brother. I at least respect you enough to admit that you just told the truth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think too, it's just a lot of the fact that like this, it makes it, they're not okay with being uncomfortable. Like they just don't they feel like, you know, they want all of that back under wraps where it was. One of the saddest things I ever remember watching was in Mad Men. There's a character who is gay, who is married to this woman, and they have a dinner party, and everybody comes over and like, what a great life you have. He cooks, he cleans, he's so nice, he's a great entertainer, blah, blah, blah. And then after dinner, every guest leaves, she tries to like start things with him, and he can't do anything for her. And she just breaks down screaming and crying, and like she just can't understand what's happening. You know what I mean? And he's miserable, and she's miserable, and they have to put on this, but they have to put on this show for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that America that they idealize is this America where, oh, I love Ray. Such a great guy. We were over his house, him and his wife. They love each other. Meanwhile, he's got to go sleep with the bellboy at the hotel when he's on the road, and she has nobody, and she feels so alone and broken. It's horrible. And that's what they idealize. Like that for them, that's good because they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about knowing Ray the gay guy. They can know, Ray and his wife.
Yeah.
Comfortable. And that's just it's such a selfish way to.
It's an evil tactic. They're disguising hate to make it normal.
Mm-hmm.
Do not attack these groups just because you think they're less than, because they're not.
Yeah. There are same people out here with "Don't tread on me" flags in their front yard, just treading fucking all over everybody. Just fucking treading.
The dirtiest.
Yeah, just fucking treading, bro. Yes. And they don't get it. They have no clue. They don't believe that that's what they're doing.
No, I mean, but because they do it all the time, when they're in rehab, they would tell you, like, you'd be like, oh, I have so many trust issues, and be like, well, do you lie to everybody in your life all the time? And you'd be like, yeah. Like, well, maybe that's why, So maybe like you're so scared of being treaded upon because you're constantly treading on people.
Yeah.
Like, quit doing that and then see what happens. It's just a thought. Yeah, and then it's just the whole attack on science thing. That report that you were talking about was likely, they say it was likely created by ChatGPT, which another article strictly about AI says that AI is increasingly, 6 years ago when they first found out that AI hallucinates, just makes things up, they said, oh, it'll get better over time. But 6 years later, it hallucinates about 30% more than it did 6 years ago. So especially when you're looking up information out there, folks, like be sure to scroll past the Gemini and into some actual articles if it is important research, because you cannot trust the AI.
Speaking of AI, if you go on Twitter and you ask the AI who spreads the most disinformation on Twitter, it's fucking Elon and President Trump, dude. It's so funny.
Yeah. Grok's funny.
Elon, you created this whole system for it to tell you you're a piece of shit.
I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, that's crazy sub behavior right there, bro. That's crazy sub behavior.
Too funny. But yeah, it's funny how they will just take all of the science. So all of those reports that Kennedy is using to justify his new policy, to be clear, none of that stuff comes from any of the American Medical Association, the Journal of Medicine, any of the people who have worked on these things for years, decades, put in countless hours of research. One of the things I always like to point out about transgender is, like, for a long time, transgender surgery, like, the only place you could have it done was if you'd gone through, like, the Johns Hopkins University. Like, you had to be, like, studied.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a few things on this planet, actually, that are more studied already than this topic because of its nature. Like, they have looked into this, and the conclusion that they have come to is that it is not some sort of fixable disorder. They believe in this gender affirming care, and I will tell you that this fucking party of fucking nose jobs and fucking tits should just, like, probably be okay with gender affirming care, because if not, I don't know what they're going to do with their fucking testosterone supplements and bullshit that they love so much.
Right.
But right the fuck out of business if they take away gender affirming care. Him and Doug Flutie broke.
That's not what they mean. That's not what they mean. We don't mean all of it, just that kind. You know what I mean? They don't mean.
It's okay for us, but not for you.
Yes.
long as it affirms the way I perceive reality.
Right.
What is wrong for thee is right for me.
Yep. As long as it sends Ray back to his wife, it's all good. It's all good in the hood.
Hey, good turd. Fuck that guy. I hope the worm finishes his brain off.
Unfortunately, I think we're working on worm brain at this point. I don't think there's anything left of the original Bobby.
It's just the worm dude up there just having a time.
I'm so hungry. Fucking A. I believe it. Yeah, I was not shocked to see it, but hated to see it. Bobby strikes again.
Yeah, there is no breaking news that shocks me anymore. I've become numb. I am fucking
Which is scary.
disassociated to a new level.
That's not good. It's not good to be this numb to news. All right, you guys ready
It's
for
all
this one?
breaking news. Yeah, let's hear your turn, John. How shitty was it for you, my friend?
All right. So here's what's actually happening in Congress. In Congress, the headline should be Congress works to create their budget for the year. Right? That's what they're supposed to be doing. That is the work that they should be working on. And they are fighting about it plenty. But they're getting absolutely fucking nowhere. The Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, has confirmed that of the dozens, and I do mean dozens, of plans that the Republicans have put forth for their tax cuts for billionaires plans, all of them, every single one of them, cuts Medicaid significantly. Millions and millions of people will lose their health care, mostly seniors. So, congratulations, Boomer. The Congressional Budget Office also says all of these add close to $5 trillion in debt to the deficit. To the actual, not the trade deficit. Gotta specify nowadays the actual deficit, the one that matters, the one that counts. So, people like Rand Paul and Chip Roy can't vote for this, but Republicans in swing districts who need some Democratic votes to win can't vote to cut Medicaid. So they are at an absolute standstill. But don't worry, you probably haven't heard about it because we are distracting everybody with things as important as renaming officially the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. One of the single most unpopular things that Trump has done outside of shitting his pants in the fucking Notre Dame Cathedral is renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And yet, congressional Republicans took it upon themselves today to pass a bill that made it official. What a giant fucking waste of time when you should be in Congress working on a budget which you have not passed since you took power from the Democrats during the presidency of Joseph R. Biden. So get the fuck to work and figure this shit out. Come on. Like, we want to see your fucking shitty bill. Let the fucking world see it.
Show us your cards.
Show us your cards. Show them. Well, they're out there. So, instead of talking about that, we're doing these. But the absolute best distraction of the week has been the Doge hearings. That's right. You remember Doge? Doge is also a committee in Congress, and it is headed by none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene. The Marjorie Taylor Greene, who very likely, has committed some major insider trading lately.
Definitely.
Has taken it upon herself to bring the USA Fencing Association into Congress for a hearing. Now, what, you may ask, does that have to do with fucking government efficiency? And the answer is nothing. The Doge Commission brought them in anyway. Even though USA Fencing is not a federally funded agency, has absolutely nothing to do with the federal government. So that's just something. Let's just start there.
You mean fencing like the sword fighting?
Yeah, like sword fighting.
Oh.
That's the one.
I didn't know if it was like that nonsense. I was like, Didn't know if it was like kind of nonsense or like full on nonsense.
Guess why? I'll give you a clue. Nancy Mace.
Well, I want to let you know that I knew the punchline to your joke was going to be nothing, and I still audibly laughed out loud when you said it. Like I couldn't help myself. I knew it was coming. I know it's coming, and I can't stop from laughing.
Yeah, bro, it's something. So, fencing, this is from the New York Times, has been under a rare and uncomfortable spotlight since a usually low-key regional tournament called the Cherry Blossom Open was held in College Park, Maryland on March 30th. In a match featuring mid-level fencers who are not Olympic caliber, Stephanie Turner, 31, removed her mask, took a knee in protest, and declined to participate against her transgender opponent, Red Sullivan, 19. A video of the moment went viral. Phil Andrews, the chief executive of USA Fencing, said shortly after that incident, he opened his front door in Denver to encounter a man who complained to him vociferously about transgender females athletes participating in women's sports, calling him scum. So that's cool. So anyway, this is the guy. So they're bringing this Phil Andrews guy to the hearing, right? And they try to make it about things. But I've actually got some clips of Democrats for once, because you know what? I'll tell you, like, Democrats, when it comes to doing the actual business of being politicians, like inside of the halls of Congress, they ain't bad at it. I'm not gonna lie. They do pretty good sometimes in these things. All right, give me 1 second to cue this up.
Yeah. Bro, they will find. Look, there's like 40 high school athletes identify as transgender, and they're going to put a spotlight on every single one of them. I promise you. They'll put a spotlight on every single one of them.
Thousands of doors and talk to thousands of Republican, Independent, and Democratic voters in my career.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys. You hear this one?
Is like the kind that goes around the building, but like the sport with the swords. And I've knocked on thousands of doors and talked to thousands of Republican, Independent, and Democratic voters in my career. And not a single time has someone flung open their door and said, "Thank God you're here, Congressman. I want to ask you about transgender people fencing." It's just never happened. I've never even met a fencer before. I've just seen it on The Parent Trap. I'm sure it's a great sport, but what the hell are we doing here? Seriously, we're here because Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that if she picks on vulnerable people like trans folks, she can avoid having a discussion about the allegations of insider trading against her. She thinks that she can distract from the fact that Trump and MAGA Republicans are raising your costs every single day, suppressing your wages every single day, stealing your taxpayer dollars every single day, and threatening your health care. That's the reason we're at this crazy hearing today.
Yeah. So not bad, huh? Not too shabby.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, they will find all 40 of them and try and belittle them to make them feel terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's their plan.
Yeah. Jasmine Crockett came up with a game called Trump or
That was a good one.
That one. Good. I don't feel like I need to play that one because I think like most people have seen it. But that was pretty fucking clever.
It was funny. I laughed.
That was good.
That was pretty good. So that was well done. And that picture of him golfing, I know he hates it because his gut is just out there.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I'd fight y'all doing something like that to me. I would. We'd have to run the fade.
I'm gonna make a note.
Yeah. I catch my whole stomach out on any sort of social media, and sorry, but we gotta fight a little bit about it.
All right, I'll look for a new picture for the signs of the ninth hole.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's so that's the clown show that's going on. The Gulf of Mexico, this, that. And then in more serious news, there's the doing the actual work, the budget, Kash Patel is supposed to bring the FBI's budget by law to Congress today. And of course, he missed his deadline and told them straight up that he had not done his homework and did not know when he was going to complete it. He also said many other disturbing things, like he did not know whether or not people had the constitutional right to their constitutional rights, like due process. He freaked out on Patty Murray for no reason, telling he wasn't going to tolerate her line of questioning. Like, that's a thing. Yeah, he's, and I mean, for those of you who don't know Kash Patel, he is the FBI director, a conspiracy theorist, and an all-around bad person. So yeah, he was one of them. And then the other one they brought in was Kristi Noem, and she was grilled about how over budget and excessive the Department of Homeland Security has been. And then she was asked too about Obrego Garcia by Senator Chris Murphy, and we're going to play that right now.
Have you read I assume you have read the Supreme Court decision in the case of Kilmar Obrego Garcia?
Yes.
That court decision requires the administration to facilitate Kilmar Obrego Garcia's release from El Salvador. Can you describe the steps that you have taken to facilitate this release? And specifically, can you answer as to whether you have reached out to your counterpart in El Salvador to facilitate Mr. Obrego Garcia's release?
Obrego Garcia is a citizen of El Salvador and should never have been in this country and will not be coming back to this country. There is no scenario where Obrego Garcia will be in the United States again. If he were to come back, we would immediately deport him again because he is a terrorist, he's a human smuggler, and he is a wife beater.
You've read the Supreme Court decision. Does the Supreme Court decision not require you to facilitate the return of Mr. Obrego Garcia?
The Trump administration is complying with all court orders and judges' orders.
Does the Supreme Court order require you to facilitate the return of Mr. Obrego Garcia?
Is a citizen of El Salvador. It is up to the president of the El Salvador to make the decision.
You're a defendant
on
in the
if he
case.
is coming back. It's been a big topic of conversation between all of us, between the country. When the president visited the United States of America, it was discussed and talked about there. The president has been very clear on this issue, as the Secretary of State, and I have as well. Obrego Garcia is not a citizen of this country and is a dangerous individual who does not belong here.
I will not ask another question.
If you were back in this country, we would immediately.
But the discussion ends when the Supreme Court rules 9-0 that you have to facilitate his release, and the fact that you can't even acknowledge the wording of the order, which commands you to facilitate his release, and you advertise to this committee that you are going to willfully ignore the ruling. And that is incredibly
true,
chilling
Senator.
for the balance of powers in a democracy that relies on the executive branch to honor decisions made by the highest court of the land.
I mean, that's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. That's fifth grade civics, man. Like, it doesn't matter what you think, Kristi Noem. Like, the man is due his process in court. And if he's such a fucking criminal, it shouldn't be hard to prove. Bring him back. Bring him back. So yeah, all of that's what's going on. They're planning on upping the Department of Homeland Security's budget. They are planning on upping the Defense Department's budget, and they are planning on cutting Medicaid, cutting research, cutting these things, all these things that are helpful, all these things that are investments in the American people, all these things that make life a little bit better, all while simultaneously suppressing wages, all while crushing labor unions. It's just it's an all-out assault on us. And if you're still rooting for it, I don't get you. You're a weird little shit, Frank, and I don't get you. It's time. I don't know what people need to be shaken from their fucking slumber, but this is an obscene affront to the entire idea of not being ruled by one single person.
Listen to me. They don't care, brother.
No.
They know that they're going against the Supreme Court. They don't care. Their hatred for these people outweighs any sort of constitutional right. They do not give a shit. You could tell them. They'll just tell me pretty much that he doesn't exist to them. He's not a real person to them because he's an illegal immigrant and he should have never freaking been here. Brother, they know. There is no waking up. They're pro this. They are in favor of what is happening. It's not like they're like, this is questionable. They fucking love it.
Yeah. Here's a stat I find interesting. In the death penalty, cases that are litigated in court, tried vociferously, to use a New York Times word, there are a shocking number of mistakes made. Shocking number of mistakes made in capital murder cases. Shocking. This man has received no process. These men have received no process. Hundreds, maybe thousands, who the fuck knows how many people have been in this country. As many as they can get their hands on without any kind of due process. And many of them have been sentenced to life prison in a goddamn concentration camp. This is beyond, this is just subhuman behavior. And if you continue to root for this, people are going to remember that. People are going to remember that.
Oh yeah, I'll never forgive you as a person.
I mean, it's fine. I don't feel the need to like. I'm not going to feel the need to like shame you because you're going to have to live with yourself. You're going to have to live with yourself.
Yeah, they judge you quietly like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Like, hey, karma will get them. It comes around.
It comes around.
That is a massive hate they're throwing around in the world, so I don't know what's going to happen. We might explode, but like something bad's going to happen. Hopefully.
No, it's coming. Oh, God.
How shitty.
Well, let's take a quick break. This one is definitely not sponsored by VO5. VO5, the official smell of every dude in prison. This company sells their products twice to prisons on commissary. They make millions and millions of dollars on human misery, and they are the daughter of parent company Unilever. That's right, the same Unilever who fired their CEO for being just a little too left-wing for him, for honoring that company's values, if you fucking want to really get down to it, because that's who the fuck they are, and that's who they've always goddamn been. Now, we here support the efforts of the former owners to buy the company back, but until then, fuck Unilever and all of its goddamn products. Fuck Dove soap, fuck Klondike bars, Axe body spray can go suck a fucking dick, but VO5, boy, I've got a special memory of that fucking stench. So you can really suck a dick today. We'll be back.
I appreciate that you didn't know the fly Axe body spray.
I hate Axe body spray. I'm glad you bring it up every time.
Or grown men going to court dates, bro. That was so funny.
No. It's either 8th graders in gym or grown men going to court. It's terrible.
Hey, John. How long have we been recording?